And here you go. This is part 7. Me and a friend of mine went up to Yorkshire years ago now to see my grandmother who was in a home, and we'd got on the coach and been dropped off. 6-hour journey, not pleasant.
No.
But we'd got off the coach, and we were like, right, we're here now, but we need to get to where my grandmother was. So there was this lady, bless her heart, she was outside pruning her roses, right? We didn't know her from Adam, she didn't know us from Adam, right? I said to her, oh, can you tell us where the nearest bus stop is? She turned around and said, oh, yeah, it's about half an hour away. It's a bit further up. All right, okay. Well, do you have a number for a cab service? And she went, yeah, no worries. And she went in. 10 minutes later, her husband comes out the back and said, yeah, get in the car.
Oh, wow.
Did I never tell you that story?
No, I don't think you did.
No, she said, he turned around and said, get in the. I said, no, we want a cab. He said, no, I'm going to give you a lift.
Oh.
And I said, you don't know us from Adam. And he said, so what? He said, you need to get where you're going. So I'm gonna give you a lift. It only takes 10 minutes. He said, and I said to him, well, you've got to let us give you some money for petrol. This is so bloody stupid.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I said, wasn't it? The minute you get outside of London, it's a different kettle of fish altogether. Me and Jeff, we went to Tunisia. Now, bearing in mind, it's a Muslim country. They don't drink alcohol. They don't do gambling. It's quite a strict country. Now, we stayed in what turned out to be quite a posh hotel, actually. It was an adult-only hotel because that's what we were wanting. Now, in the restaurant, the first night we turned up, obviously, they weren't to know I was in a wheelchair. Our waiter, because, waiters are designated to certain tables,
Yeah.
he moved the chair for us. And I thought, fair enough, nothing wrong with that, blah, blah, blah. Following night we went, because you sat at the same table every night. Your room had a particular table. No chair. Next night, no chair. It took that first occasion, every single night, he made sure there was no chair in that space because he knew I was coming along in my wheelchair. Now, to me, I thought that was a lovely touch.
Yeah.
Rather than having to turn up for my meal every night and think, oh God, I've got to move the chair again. Where do I put it? Because you can't just stick it in the middle of the floor, But he made sure that wasn't there every single night.
It is kind of the little things, isn't it?
It is. It's the little things that make the biggest impact, in my mind. Just that little extra thought that he placed every single evening when we were going for our meal to make sure that chair was not in my way.
And I think that's what it all boils down to.
And yet, ironically, his night off, the chair was there.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. But I think...
Well, what can I say? Do you know what I mean? It was a new waiter. He didn't know.
Yeah. But I think that's what it all boils down to, isn't it? The whole entire, for the last 2 hours, what we've been talking about, boils down to a little bit extra thought.
It's not necessarily having more thought, although, yes, I know what you're saying. If everybody wasn't in such a great hurry, then you would have the time to naturally have those little extra thoughts. But London is so fast-paced. It's dog eat dog, out for yourself, and don't give a crap about who you step on in the process.
I mean,
I've experienced that on a day-to-day basis. Mm-hmm. So when you are being treated that way, or coming across those experiences on a day-to-day basis, why would you think other than, is this what society has become? So then when you do go to another part of the country or another whole new country and you're treated the complete opposite, you're like, whoa, hang on a minute, this ain't normal, where am I?
We get so used to being, I suppose, forgotten about and we get not being considered, living where we live.
Again, one of my beliefs about doing this blog, because you've hit on something rather well there. We are so used to the way life is that we are almost becoming blasé to the way we're treated.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
We are not second-class citizens. We have no lesser right than anybody else in this world. And that's why I so agree with these blogs. It's keeping that alive, so to speak. It's letting other disabled people and even able-bodied people, whoever decides to listen to this, no, it's not acceptable. No, we do not enjoy being treated this way. Yes, we do have a right to be here. Yes, we have a right to have a designated toilet because we physically cannot use any other toilet. Yes, we do have a right to have a designated parking bay because we can't physically use standard bays. They're not special treatment. It unfortunately is a need in our lives. It's not what we want. I mean, come on. Does anybody in their right mind think we enjoy being in a wheelchair? Okay, maybe on a Sunday night down the karaoke you might think I did, but that's a different subject, But if I had the choice between being wheelchair bound or an able-bodied person, come on, what do you think I would choose?
I know what I would choose.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even have to say it.
No.
Because, regardless of whatever anybody thinks, to be disabled is probably one of the most stressful things you can be. You have so many obstacles to overcome. Sometimes you think, well, why do I bother?
Exactly.
And especially with some people's attitudes as well.
Mm.
And it's really hard.
It is.
It's really hard. It's not easy. We didn't, you don't choose to be disabled. It's not a choice that any sane person would make.
No.
And, at the end of the day, we have to deal the cards we're dealt, which is fair enough.
And make the best of them.
But we make the best of it.
Exactly. But on the same token, or the other side of the coin is, if we weren't disabled, we probably wouldn't be the people we are today.
No.
But I'm talking kind of like, if you could go back in time and be born able-bodied or disabled, then obviously the obvious choice is there.
Mm.
But then I often ask myself, well, if I was able-bodied, would I have the attitude that a lot of able-bodied people have?
Mm.
I don't know, because are my beliefs in life a lot to do with the fact that I am disabled? So that's a really, really, really deep question.
It's a really deep and philosophical question.
It is. But then it's a lot to do with your upbringing.
Yeah.
And the standards and morals and respect that your parents teach you as you grow up. And I know this is, again, off topic, but which is maybe for another topic someday, but that is what is half of what's wrong with teenagers of today. They're being brought up by teenagers, so what morals and standards can you expect them to have?
Mm.
And if that's our next generation of politicians and company owners and what have you, then things can only go down.
Get from bad to worse.
Yeah. So again, what hope do we have? We don't. And when you're living with that on a daily bloody basis, how can anyone expect us to be as chirpy and happy as we are? That's probably why, not blowing our own trumpets, but that's probably why a lot of people admire us, because we just get on with it. We enjoy our lives. Obviously not every aspect of it. We all have trials and tribulations. We all have our own personal problems. Who doesn't? That's a fact of life. But as a whole, our disability does not
doesn't define who we are.
To a degree it does. Yes, I think it does. But it doesn't stop us doing what we want to do. I mean, you look at us, how we gave water skiing a go. I cracked myself getting in the water. I hated it.
Nearly pulled my arm out of the socket.
Well, yeah. I nearly ripped every nail off the finger because I was gripping onto the gearing so bloody hard and it still slipped out of my hand. But it was a laugh. We enjoyed it. We may never do it again, but that's a memory we'll take with us. And we enjoyed it. And we've got good memories. Do you know what I'm saying? So whether you continue doing something or not, just by giving it a go, can sometimes be just as good. We had a wicked day, didn't we? You falling in, me falling in.
I fell in about 3 times.
Me screaming the head off, getting into the water because I thought I was going to fall off the 60 and God knows what else. But
the thing is,
that's all part of having fun.
Yeah, I mean, when we tell people that we've done these things, like, you know, I've been rock...
Their initial reaction is that you're disabled.
Yeah. We've both been rock climbing.
Yes.
You know, we've both water skied. You know, we often, you know, I know people, Jeff does jiu-jitsu. He's almost a black belt in jiu-jitsu. You know, there's so many things that we have done that you wouldn't expect a disabled person to be able to do or even want to attempt, like, you know, horse riding and so on. All the kinds of, and when we tell people we've done these things.
I've even been up in a microlight.
Yeah, I've been up in a microlight as well.
That's an experience I will not ever be attempting again, I can assure you.
Granted, I stayed up longer than you did. My point is that even when we do tell people we've done these things, you know, they're so surprised.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have turned around to me in the past and said, well, it's amazing to me that you do all these things because I wouldn't even attempt them.
Yeah.
As an able-bodied person.
So this is where I say disability can define you as a person because it makes you stronger. And not that I believe I have anything to prove to anybody, but there is a little voice inside that says, I am going to give this a go. I am going to show the world I can do this. Even if I end up finding out I can't, like the water skiing. It was something I had hoped that I could eventually do I could progress to do on my own. Unfortunately, it's not something I will ever be able to do on my own. I'm physically not strong enough to hold on to the D-ring that pulls you along the water. My arms are just not strong enough. So I will always need an instructor by my side to help me hold the D-ring. So I'm the type of person, well, if it doesn't go the way I hoped it to go or I planned it to go, then I don't want to do it anymore. You know. Next summer now, I may well go and have another go. Just to have a go, just for a day out. Like, for example, people that want to go to Alton Towers and go on roller coasters. It's not something you want to do every day of your life or something you want to do regularly, but it's a day out. You know, you get the same exhilaration from it. I mean, the last time I went water skiing and I had that woman instructor beside me and she actually held the D-ring with me. That was fantastic. I got to have, please excuse the way I phrase this, but I got to have the ride of my life.
No comment.
Bounced about on that water and it was amazing. I mean, the cheeks of my backside have never been so red, but hey, I didn't care, you know. Because, okay, for those of you that are trying to envision what I'm trying to talk about...
The video's on the group, if anybody wants to watch it.
Now, they'll be thinking it's a walking video. No. Obviously, you envision a water skier standing up on a ski. Well, if you imagine the ski, triple the width with a seat on it, that's a sit ski. So I'm sitting in this sit ski bouncing along the water. Well, obviously, as you're bouncing, you're hitting off the water, so that's why the cheeks of my backside were quite red. But it was wonderful because to be bouncing up and down on this water, seeing this speedboat ahead of you, and the waves lashing into your face, I know for a lot of people it's like, oh my God, that's my worst nightmare. But for me, I found it really exhilarating, you know. So for those reasons, in the summer, I may well go and have another go.